Hey artists, let's talk about your maze sketchbook cover assignment. This challenge is to create a sketchbook cover design which incorporates a maze and your name. For IBMYP, our statement of inquiry we'll be thinking about as we create it is that boundaries shape our identities and how we express ourselves. The requirements of your sketchbook cover are: it must include your name in the design. This is functional to make sure that I can easily identify your sketchbook, but you should also consider it as one way to include your identity as part of the project. You must fill the entire page. The entire page will be the cover of your book, and therefore it must be the complete thing. With nothing extra cut off or folded or removed in any way. It must be interesting and a balanced maze design. Asymmetry, meaning the two sides are not the same, is almost always better than symmetry. And you should avoid large, regular negative spaces. That means empty spaces. Your paths can go off the edge. I do not plan to try to solve your maze, but your maze should be interesting to look at without a bunch of big empty spots on the page. So here's a quick example showing you that you can incorporate an object. Maze paths can be straight or curved, geometric, organic. You can incorporate all sorts of designs into a maze other than your traditional line maze. So, for example, here's a student artwork, not for this project, of course, where the maze is the background to a portrait. This would be complicated to do, but you could absolutely do it. Here's another simple example showing you that you can use your interests and hobbies to inspire you. So you can see they were clearly interested in Alice in Wonderland. And the maze path starts in the tail and finishes all the way down at the bottom. It doesn't have to be as complicated as the last example. So this one is much simpler, much bigger maze path, but notice how the maze path curls around and connects to itself. And the overall shape of the maze could even show your interest and hobbies. So draw a simple shape that symbolizes a thing that you like to do, and then you could fill that with the maze path. It could even spell the letters of your name. So you could write out your name in bubble or block letters, which was a requirement. And then inside of the name, put maze paths. And then you would have met those requirements of including your name and a maze. It can be as complicated as you want to make it. So this one is a very cool 3D optical illusion. You're welcome to give something like this a try if you'd like. So here's a real student example for this project. Does it meet the assignment requirements that we just talked about? It does. What I like about this example is that the craftsmanship and bold colors are excellent. The name, RETAL, is sort of hidden in there, but they have bolded around it. They've used a nice mix of colors, of black marker, of colored pencil, and even some of the spaces that look like they don't have a maze on them. In fact, if you look closer, the maze path is just a darker colored pencil color that's very similar to the background color. So they have no white space, and I love that. Here's another example. Have they met the requirements we discussed? They have. This is a really nice, simple way to get it done. The name is very central to the design. The maze is really well developed. The craftsmanship is excellent. The one thing I want you to consider is this will be the cover of your book. Most books are viewed vertically because of the way the binding is on our sketchbook. So if you design your artwork horizontally, meaning side to side, you'll end up seeing it maybe a little bit different because of the way that your book is typically looked at. Keep that in mind if that's your decision. Last example, does this meet the assignment requirements? It does. So the maze path is quite small. You might not be able to see their name quite easily behind them. Luther, Luther, behind the character's head. What I appreciate is the bravery of drawing a self-portrait, putting the maze in the sunglasses. It's very creative. And they had a great personal connection to the theme of boundaries that they were thinking about in their artwork. Yes, their craftsmanship could be improved if we look at their coloring. But overall, I think this is a really interesting way to meet the assignment requirements. What questions do you have left about this assignment? All right, so now that you know what you are supposed to do, it's time to get started sketching.